Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all you're doing amazing out there and taking care of yourselves as much as possible. I've been doing a lot of thinking recently just about just different situations that come up in our lives. There are so many things that kind of push us to places of just extreme emotion, or even just unsettling emotion, just emotions that we don't want, things that we don't want to feel, things that don't feel good for us, things that feel unfair, things that feel like it's kind of things are going against us, things are kind of, like the world is against us, the universe is against us, whatever it may feel like for you in that moment. I know that feeling. I know that feeling can be something that's so strong for so many people that are dealing with life. Life comes at us in so many different areas of our lives at so fast of speeds that it seems like it's hard to manage. It's hard to juggle in so many different circumstances. And if you're trying to juggle that with, just your emotional state, you're going to be going back and forth. You're going to be pulled in all these different directions that don't really feel the best for you, because it's going to stretch you out. It's going to stretch you thin. It's going to make you feel as though you are less than yourself, because you can't be fully present with yourself if you're wrapped up in these emotions, or you're wrapped up in these feelings that are unpleasant for you, that they don't make you feel good inside. They make you think terrible things about yourself or other people or just life itself. And these are things that they don't feel good. I mean, that. I don't have to explain these bad feelings for you, but something with these experiences that we have, I mean, we're experiencing these emotions in response to the situation that has already happened. That's usually what happens. And sometimes we think about situations down the line. Maybe we get a new job, or maybe we're searching for a new job and we're worried about the expectation or outcome of that, or maybe we're wanting a relationship and we're thinking about aspects within that. But a lot of times we're judging that off of situations that we have now. Maybe we have a job now that we don't like. Maybe we have a relationship now or don't have a relationship right now and we want to be in one. And either way, we're recognizing these negative emotions because we realize that we want something else. We want something better. We want something more. But that negative emotion in itself isn't something that feels good, So as we kind of think about our lives in the way that we want to live it, most times I think most people would want to live it in accordance to the things that feel good for them, the things that make them feel good inside, the things that make them feel like they're inspired, like they're worthy, that they're loved, that they have an idea of what they want in life, or at least what they want to feel in life and what they want to get out of that. And I think that, as we kind of recognize that that is what we want at the root of all of our desires, is we want that love, and we want that passion, we want that joy in life, and that love that is just, kind of within all aspects of our lives. So as we recognize that as being who we are and who we want to be and what we want to have in our lives, these situations that come up that make us feel bad, we have to take priority in realizing that we have to do something about that. And not something that's like super proactive in the sense that we have to banish that thought or kind of remove ourselves from anything that feels unpleasant, but more or less actually allowing that feeling to come in. Because so often we have a resistance towards these negative feelings. We say, I feel bad, or I feel anxious and I don't want to feel that. And of course, those are things that you don't want to feel, but that resistance to not wanting to feel it, that feeding the fire with all the thoughts that add to it, or add to that anxiety, add to that pain, add to that sadness, all of that stuff is just, it's not really allowing it. It's really forcing. It's adding a force that's trying to dismiss it with logic, or trying to dismiss it by pushing it down or stuffing it away, but it still rises back up to the top. There's situations that happen in our lives, again, that swing us to all different extremes within our emotional state, and we don't necessarily want that for ourselves. But allowing the situation to be what it is something that can give us so much relief from the situation. And now it's not relief in the way that maybe the situation is resolved in the way that you want it to see resolved, but you're allowing it to be without judgment. This is an allowance that's happening within you, because you can't change the situation. If you have a job that you don't like right now, then allow that to be what the situation is. Don't hold anxiety towards, or sadness towards the position that you have now or the situation that you're in now, because that's only going to perpetuate that feeling that you don't want, that feeling that's far removed from that love and that joy that you want to have in your life. And now it's not dismissing the feeling, it's allowing it to be what it is. You can say, I'm sad right now. And allow that sadness to be. Don't feed the fire with thoughts of why you're sad or logic of how to get out of that sadness. Just allow it to be. Just sit there in it. And I promise you, if you're not feeding that fire and you just allow that feeling to be, the feeling will last for 45 seconds to 2 minutes, if that long. I mean, just like some people will say, just cry. Like if you need to cry, just cry. Let it all out. Just cry. And sometimes when you're in that state of just crying and bawling your eyes out, sometimes you're not even thinking anything. It's just like the tears just kind of keep coming out. Let them flow. Don't feed the fire though. Don't feed what's causing the sadness or the anxiety or whatever those thoughts are that's manifesting that emotion that you don't desire. Don't feed the fire with that. Just allow the emotion to be, because you're already feeling it. You're already in it. It's already something that's present within you. So allow it to be. Allow the situation to be. And just be there in that moment with it. And that's something that can be so difficult. I mean, it's easier said than done in so many situations, because when we want to practice this, we're already wrapped up in this emotion. And then when we snap out of it, and we're like, oh no, I lost control, then we beat up on ourselves for losing control. And that's not really what I'm getting at with this whole thing. It's the point of not beating up on yourself. It's not beating up on yourself for these situations that come up, because this is how we learn how to manage these things. This is how we learn how to navigate our lives and tune that dial into that place where we're streamlining on that station that we want to stay on. This allowance that you're having within yourself, it's something that is judgment free. Don't judge yourself for having the emotion or for being in that state of sadness or anxiety or whatever negative feeling that you're feeling right there. Don't judge yourself for getting wrapped up in an emotion, because it's something that we've been doing for all of our lives. It's something that maybe we haven't been trained enough or acknowledge our feelings enough to have that time to start to navigate how we actually want to feel and how we want to emotionally move through our lives. I mentioned just a minute ago how it's so often that we want to start to practice these things when we're in that raw state of emotion, when we're kind of feeling that strong thing that we don't want to feel. But try to start this when just the smallest things happen. When you're in traffic and maybe you get aggravated, when your kids are screaming and like you just told them to do something and that kind of aggravates you, or maybe just something even a little bit smaller. Maybe you lose a pen or you lose your keys and you get super stressed out. Allow the situation to be just for a few seconds. Just allow yourself to breathe and say, this is what the situation is. I mean, now if you're rushing for work, I mean, that is what it is. I mean, there are a lot of people that will say, don't rush for work. Just allow yourself to be late, because the stress of rushing and doing all that stuff is something that's more negative and more harmful. And the fact that you're going to speed to work is something that's more detrimental to your life than, the thought of being late. So there are just a lot of things that we can start to practice in these small situations within our lives that can help us in these bigger moments when life seems to be hurtling at us and we feel like it's out of control, when we feel like everything is screwing us over. We can start to step back and just let the situation be what it is. Because again, when we allow that situation to be what it is, it's not accepting the situation, it's not accepting the bad thing and saying that, well, shit, this is just my life now. It's not doing that at all, but it's allowing yourself to get in a place where now you can clear that emotion, you can clear that kind of that judgment that you had on either the emotion itself or the outcome of the situation, and you can just let that situation be. And then when you do that, you kind of release a weight from your shoulders. And when that weight is lifted, you're in a different headspace. You can be in a different headspace and take that situation from a different perspective. Just as I spoke about in the episode about problems, how when we're in the problem, when we're frustrated, when we're kind of toiling within our heads and arguing with the person outside of us or whatever situation it is, when you're in that mental state, you can't get anywhere else. You can't get to the solution from that problem state. You have to take a walk, take a breath, get some relaxation, get it off your mind in order for you to get back to the situation from a different approach and find the solution that you need. The same thing happens with this allowance. You're allowing the situation to be so you can start to navigate in that direction that's going to bring you the most joy, going to bring you the most love in the situation that it can be. If you're in a job that you dislike and it's constantly frustrating you, have to sit back and realize that, okay, the situation is what it is. Now, the choice that you make after that could be to leave your job, or it could be to start to remove yourself from the people that aggravate you in your job. It can be to navigate your environment in a different way, but the situation that you're in now is aggravation. You're in frustration, you're in blind rage at whatever is happening at your job, but that's not going to make you feel any better. Thinking about that coworker that pisses you off isn't going to make you feel better. Thinking about that situation that screwed you over isn't going to make you feel better. Allow it to be. Allow it to be exactly what it is, because you're reacting to it already. It already is what it is. So allow it to be, because that's going to allow you to take that weight off your shoulder, take that judgment off your shoulder, take the judgment off the situation, even for a moment. Because I know that once you kind of let it go and you breathe, the situation may go away, but then those thoughts are going to come back in, and you're going to have to do it again. And then thoughts are going to come back in, and then you're going to have to do it again. It's going to be a process. But once you notice, once you see and feel that relief come off for that moment, you know that it's possible. You know that for the briefest moment, that even though the situation is still present, even though it's still active as a situation or whatever it may be, you know that even though that's active, I felt a moment of peace where that wasn't something I had to hold on to. I was able to let that go, even though it's still happening. And when you realize that both of those things can occur simultaneously, then you're going to start prioritizing yourself and the way that you feel, knowing that you're able to feel something different. Because a lot of times we're in situations and we feel like we're a victim to the situation, and we are never a victim to the situation. We always have a choice, and we always have a choice to choose ourselves. And oftentimes we don't choose ourselves, we choose other things, other people, other situations, other things outside of us, because we feel as though that's going to make us seem better, or maybe that's going to give us the validation that we want. But at the end of the day, all that validation, all that desire, all that love has to come from within you. And you can accept it joyously from those that come outside of you, or the situations that come to you outside of you. But when the situations aren't presenting themselves to be that way, allow them to be, so that you can re-gauge yourself and navigate yourself in the way, in the direction that you want to go. Because that's really what this allowance is. It's allowing yourself to accept the situation as it is, so you can clear your mind and move in the place that you want to be. Because oftentimes that voice that's saying, I want to go in this other direction, it would feel better if I went in this other direction. Oftentimes that's being clouded over by this cloud of sadness, of anxiety, of thoughts, of negativity, of all this stuff that's clouding it from you hearing that voice, or hearing, or even trusting that voice that's telling you to go in this other direction. This is a whole nother conversation on trust, but a lot of it is trusting yourself to get to that place of allowing the situation to be, and then trusting that voice that's saying, I think this will be better for me. And although it may be scary, again, the fear is something else that is just an emotion that's coming up. It's something that's not pleasant for you. So allow that fear to be what it is, and say, I know that this is something that seems like it's a fearful situation, but what feels good for me is the thought of going in this direction. I'm going to allow this fear to, I'm going to feel it. I'm not going to feed it with any thoughts of fear of what if this happens, what if that happens. I'm not going to feed it. I'm going to allow it to be exactly what it is, but I'm going to keep moving forward in this direction, because that's what feels good for me. And as fear comes up along this decision-making path that I made, I'm going to allow it to be and know that I'm still okay. And as long as I keep moving towards the things that I want to move towards, I will continue to be okay. But if I continue to let the world wrap me up in fear and anxiety and sadness and pain because of the situations that they present to me, then I will constantly be living for other people and other things outside of me. Live for yourself by being true to yourself. Don't let these situations hold you victim. Allow them to be, and that allowance is freedom. You are freeing yourself from the shackles of that situation by allowing it to be. Because what's keeping you there in there is the thoughts that's holding you there, the emotions that's kind of keeping you wrapped up, the emotions that add on to the other emotions, that add on to the thoughts that keep on perpetuating, that keep you grasped in that situation. Allow it to be and let it go. And again, it may only be for a few seconds, but once you feel that relief, even for that moment, and then those kids start screaming again, or then your boss starts to yell at you, or you get some kind of email that's frustrating, you know for that few seconds that you felt something different. And this is going back to the episode about the wake. You're lifting your head from the wake. You're looking up and you're seeing that, oh, it's really beautiful outside today. There are other things that you are able to see once you allow the situation to be and allow yourself to see something different. Because in that allowance, that's what you're doing. You're allowing yourself to see something different, to feel something different. I've said this time and time again. A lot of what I say is, easier said than done, and I want to kind of really stress that this is a practice. This is something that you have to do even when it's not something that seems pertinent. Something that, just the smallest situations, start with those situations, allow them to be. And you'll realize that, I don't want to lead with this because a lot of people are going to start looking for those good things. But if you just allow situations to be, things that are unpleasant for you, allow them to be, you can find that good things just start to come to you. Like the situations become less and less upsetting. And I mean, just a situation that came up for me recently. Last week, I had my car worked on, and then a day and a half later, it stopped working. So now, now I have to get a new car. And of course, that's something that an unexpected expense, and quite a big expense at that. And in that situation, when it happened, I had the feeling that was unpleasant. I didn't even know what the feeling was. I didn't care to identify it. I allowed it to happen. And then I continued throughout my day. My friend that worked on it. I just had a friend work on it. I had a friend that worked on it that was really upset and was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. I settled with it myself because the situation couldn't be changed. We diagnosed it, and it was kind of, well, this is what it is, and the situation could not have been changed. So allow what it is. And of course I could have been very upset and distraught and just pissed off that entire day and just like stayed inside, and it was a beautiful day outside, and could just stayed inside and was just upset about the situation. But instead of doing that, I allowed the situation to be. I allowed the emotion to be. And then I continued throughout my day because my day was great before that happened. So I wanted to continue having a great day. And the next day when I woke up, I could have woken up and said, oh shit, I don't have a car anymore. But, I thought, wow, it's going to be another beautiful day. It was actually cloudy that morning, but I knew it was going to be a beautiful day later on. And I planned a day to kind of just walk into town. And it was the most amazing day because I wasn't thinking about the fact that I was walking because my car didn't work. I was just enjoying the amazing day that it was. And of course it could have been raining, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. But the point is that I allowed the situation to happen, and I still had the most amazing, it was actually truly an amazing day. And I would not have had that day if that had not happened, if my car had not been broken. And I know it sounds kind of strange, but, my friend had, came back over and was kind of speaking to me and was like, again, I'm so sorry about your car. Like, I'm so sorry, and I was like, it's totally fine. And I was kind of explaining to him, and I was like, I had the most amazing day the other day, and I wouldn't have had that day if my car was working, because I probably just went to the beach, which, I mean, that would have been nice too, but it was the fact that, I didn't have a car, that I was able to have that experience. And although that's just one situation, although maybe some people may not have taken that situation as I took it, I still feel as though there are situations that we can start to increment in our lives to make it so that when a situation happens like that in your life, you can brush it off. You can allow that to happen, and it won't be as hard. It won't be as difficult for it to happen. And that's the thing. It's like these situations aren't going to stop happening. Like life isn't going to stop happening at you or towards you, but you'll just realize that everything is okay. And not everything is okay in the sense that, that your car is not working or that you lost your job. I mean, that may be the situation. Allow that to be. But in the sense that you can sit here and contemplate your life, I mean, everything is okay. Again, just like I spoke about in the episode with problems, sometimes we can have problems or situations that are on our mind that are making us feel not pleasant at all. And we find ourselves thinking about it when we're not even in the situation at all. We're sitting on our couch at home. So allow yourself to realize that maybe everything is okay right now in this moment. Maybe you're thinking about something that is so painful for you to think about, and it's not something that's happening right now. Allow yourself to be in this moment. Allow this moment to be. Allow presence to be. Because when you're present in this moment right now, you'll realize that, hey, things are okay. And it may be, again, just a second or two or three, hopefully 30 or more. But, even in that briefest moment that you can breathe and realize that you're still breathing fine, that there's still presence here, that you're still here, it's like the situation can be what it is, but look outside of the situation. Allow the situation to be just as everything else is. And allow yourself that release, even for that moment. Because it can make the world of difference for yourself, mentally, physically, but also for your world, for the situations that you go about. Because your next decision after you release that is going to be something that's more in line with what you want to do. Maybe you're stressed out about something from work and you allow that emotion to be. And then your next thought is, I want some ice cream. Get some ice cream. It's going to be something that is more in line with what you want. Keep doing that. When those things come up that's unpleasant for you, allow it to be, and then navigate it from there. Even if it's a work problem, a situation that seems like you're at an impasse, allow the situation to be, allow the emotions, allow that stress and that stuckness to be. Don't add fuel to the fire again with all the thoughts and all those other things, all the what ifs. Don't add fuel to the fire, just let the emotion be. And then when that emotion passes, because it will pass, just allowing it to be, when it passes, start moving in the direction that is something more pleasant for you after your mind has been cleared. And then when you do clear your mind, don't instantly sweep back in, okay, now what do I do with this problem? Move towards something that's more pleasing. And even if it seems like it's off subject, or even if it's a task that seems like it's a smaller task that you don't really have to take care of at the moment, but would feel better for you to do that, do that. Because 5 minutes into doing that other task, maybe, oh, that's the solution to the problem. That's how I find that solution to that situation. Like, it's going to come to you in a way, or maybe it doesn't come to you, but you're going to enjoy yourself a lot more. You're not going to be stressed out in that emotion anymore. Your life is going to be a little bit better in that moment because you're following something that feels good for you. Forget outside situations, forget them, allow them to happen, allow them to be, but don't let any outside situation move you outside of the place that you want to be. And that's really what this whole idea of allowance is happening. It's like you're allowing situations outside of you. You're allowing the emotions that resonate from or in response to situations that are outside of you or other people that are outside of you. You're allowing all of it to be. And then you're going to move yourself into the place that you want to be. And naturally, you want to be there. Otherwise, these situations won't feel bad. You naturally have a place of well-being, of love, of compassion, of goodness that is within you. And if you did not have that guide, if you did not have that meter that was saying that this is what I want, then all the other situations that are unpleasing for you, they would not be unpleasing to you. Because there are other people that are doing your job that you hate, and they love that job. There's some people, I just read an article about this 15-year-old boy that was working at Burger King and enjoyed it, like loved his job. Woke up 6 a.m. and like to work like the late night shift or anything like that. And it's like some people work at Burger King and they hate their job. Situations outside of us are very much relative to the person that's experiencing it. So experience life the way that you want to experience it. Because again, that is very relative for every individual. If there's a situation that you are not happy in, allow it to be because you're wrapped up in the emotion. And any decision wrapped up in that emotion is going to be in line with that emotion. So allow the situation to be, clear your mind, and then say, okay, this is what will feel good for me. Maybe the first thought out of that breathing and letting it go or allowing the situation to be, maybe the first thought can be, what would feel good for me right now? That's actually a thought that I think multiple times a day. Sometimes I feel kind of stuck in a situation. I'm like, okay, what would feel good for me to do right now? Sometimes it's to get a drink of water. Sometimes it's to make some food. Sometimes it's to, distract myself with something else. But what would feel good for me right now in this moment? Maybe you're stuck at work and you're stressed out at work. Maybe what will feel good for you, I need to go to the bathroom. You need to go to the bathroom. wash your hands, look in the mirror for a little bit. That's what I used to do all the time. I worked at Sears. I didn't like being there, and I would go to the bathroom all the time and just kind of wash my hands. My hands were so clean. But yeah, that's really all I had for this episode. I think that there's so much to this idea of just allowing the present moment to be what it is. Be in the present moment, and you can realize that the stresses, the worries, as long as you're not adding fuel to that fire, a lot of it will dissipate, and you can start navigating yourself to the place that you want to be. So practice this if you want to. I mean, you don't have to do anything. Again, don't believe or do anything that anyone tells you to do. If it doesn't feel right for you, then don't do it. Don't listen to it. Don't absorb it. Have discernment in the things that you want in your life. If it doesn't feel good, again, this whole deal, what I'm getting at, if it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. So, yeah, again, that's all I have with this idea of allowance and, being present and non-judgmental presence. And yeah, if you have any thoughts or ideas or anything that you'd like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups, everything.sunpodcast on Instagram, Twitter at everysunpodcast, and the Facebook group at everysunpodcast as well. So, yep, that's all I got. Love you all, and I will see you next time.